After 17 years of playing the same custom guitar, I finally met Jim Jaros, and I walked away with more than just a conversation. We are at the Amigo Guitar Show in Franklin, Tennessee, talking about custom guitars, tone, and what actually goes into building a high-end instrument. Welcome today's guest, Jim Jaros. Enjoy the episode. Here we are at the Jaros stand. Danny Nagy here, guitarist, music producer, Berker grad, and YouTuber, all types creator. And today was a wonderful day where I finally met the man himself who built this instrument with Tony
Nagy.
Two of you guys. He did the paint job.
Yes, that was a production model.
Yes.
And it was finished off here in Nashville. Tony did the paint job and did the final assembly on it back in 2004, I believe you said?
Yes. I got it from him when I was 16, when I think first or second time came back to the States. And you guys out there, I've been using this since I was 16, and I'm 33, but this means the world to me, this instrument. This was with me in music school in Hungary. This was with me at Berklee College of Music. I played thousands of songs. You probably heard songs maybe on TV. I played this puppy on. My first record that I brought you, this puppy was on it. So I remember when Tony brought this, he handed it to me. He said, "Try this." And he couldn't take it out of my hands, and he said, "It's yours." And I think I cried.
We repeated history today.
We'll tease that. Something else happened today that it made me weep a wee bit, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But Jim, I'm so honored to have met you. Like, really, this guitar, you have made such a history for me that this guitar was a muse, or is a muse for me. Whenever I didn't play it, I felt like I sucked. And I'm like, oh, it's because I didn't play your guitar. So today was really a history, you know. So I'd love you to tell me and the listeners, how did you get into guitar building?
Way back in late 1993, 94, my good friend Mike Lemire and I were in a band together, and we posed the idea to each other, maybe we should, we're out playing, we would just try building an instrument ourselves. Well, my father, who was an excellent cabinet maker, was recently retired, so he had a lot of time in his hands, and he guided us. He knew the woodworking aspect, we knew what we wanted in an instrument. Mm-hmm. And we put those two ideas together, and we came up with a couple prototypes, and they were pretty good. They needed a lot of refinements as far as finesse. And then we built 6 production models. Yeah. And my father and I, my father wanted to do this as a father and son endeavor. So we went to a Philadelphia show in 1995, and we set up a table with 6 of those guitars. And Vintage Guitar Magazine was covering the show that year, and they were very interested in it, and they wanted to do an interview with us. So we sat down with them, and eventually they did a review of the guitar. We shipped them a guitar, and they did a review, and we picked up our very first dealer there, Amanda's Texas Instruments, from Annapolis, Maryland. Mm-hmm. And he bought serial number 1 and number 2, and then we just slowly picked up different dealers. Then over the years, I gravitated towards dealing one-on-one with people and not going with dealers. For one thing, it eliminates any miscommunication, and I enjoy the one-on-one. It's more personal to me, and I think it's a lot more personal to the person who's going to be receiving the guitar. And so I've been plugging away since '94.
Wow.
So it's been, over 30 years.
How many guitars do you think you built? Hard question.
Yeah, because you got to factor in like prototypes and stuff. Well over 200.
Wow.
Well, between 200 and 300.
What do you think you've learned in the journey of building guitars?
Patience. You can rush it, and you'll pay for it. Building a guitar is like chess. You have to think about the third step down so they don't take your king. Because you go, I'll do this, and you get to that point, especially when you're painting. You have to think about everything as far as how you have to prepare the body as best you can, because when you get into the actual painting, the clear and all, you're going to see that scratch you missed. So then you have to back up. So it's preparation and everything like that. And as I go, I learn different things, find different techniques to improve on the guitar. Like now, like when we started out, we didn't have titanium because back then it wasn't even available, you know, to put in the guitars. Now the titanium resonance bars, I did it on one guitar and I never looked back because there's such a difference when you hit a chord on a guitar and you feel the whole guitar vibrate. The notes just really pop out. Really, like you were playing earlier, when you hit them different harmonics, they're easier to hit. They're easier to pop out from the fingerboard. Some guitars will have a dead spot sometimes in them where you think you're going to hit a harmonic there, but it just doesn't come out. With the titanium bars, it makes the whole neck alive.
Interesting. Now, let's say a guitarist comes to you and says, Jim, I want you to custom build a guitar for me. What sort of questions do you ask to get to that point where you're like, I know what you want, I know what will complement your playing style, the type of neck, the type of pickups, the whole Shazam. What is that conversation
First thing
like?
I ask them is what style music they like, because that's going to dictate if we're going to build a guitar with hotter pickups and you know, if the guy is always playing tremolo, then I'm not going to try to push him towards a hardtail guitar. You know, I'm going to build it to his dream. Well, you know, because you can go and buy 2,000 different other guitars that are mass produced, or you're going to build a special guitar that's going to have more meaning to you and that you're going to want to play. So like the neck, you know, I can tell him the different tonalities of the wood, and you know, how a pickup's going to react with the wood and vice versa. The type of fingerboard. I've gravitated towards all stainless steel frets because I know that the customer is going to have less money down the road in maintenance, and they just feel better. A stainless steel fret, when it's polished, is so slippery when you're bending notes. It's just effortless. You think you're playing a thinner gauge string, but you're not. And then the other part of the equation is I ask what they're playing. You know, playing through, because your amplifier is half of, you know, that's what you hear. This makes this, you know, makes the signal, but that produces the audio. And that's why I've gravitated to matchless amplifiers as well, because I feel that they are absolutely the best amplifier in the world, hands down. But awesome. I've learned, like, you know, guitars falling off of, you know, off of your strap. So that's why I incorporate shallower strap locks. And now on all the models that are tunematic based, I use Tone Pro's locking tail bridges and tailpieces, because it's and what you have here as well. And it just locks and makes a more solid foundation for hooking on the string. Plus, if you took the strings off to clean the instrument, this isn't going to go bing, 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 and ding up the finish because it's locked on. So that's, you know, and sometimes when people play, you know, they can move that wheel on not even noticing. They can move the wheels.
These wheels.
Yeah, the height adjustment, where this is locked, so they can't change their dream adjustment.
Interesting. Wow. I play a lot of fusion, but I'm also, I try not to be style locked. Like I call myself like a chameleon. And if I need to play a rock, I just put on some good old tunes in my head for a week and I write and play rock. And I always thought this instrument was like there,
versatile,
for me to cater all the needs.
Right.
And one of my biggest inspiration was Schofield. So I had the Schofield line, but I caught myself using this pickup a lot more. So I'm a lot of this guy, but when I use harmonics and I want more high end, I use this pickup.
Right.
But I love that jazz sound. Like sometimes I take down the, I apply a low pass filter. So what is this filtering?
Well,
I think that's
well, this is a blend control. I think this is
this is the blend control.
Oh, the blend's over there. Okay, so one should be, I believe, a tone, and then one's a master volume.
And it takes down the high end and gives that very jazzy type of tone.
Right.
I know I talked to Tony a lot.
Woman tone, sometimes they call it.
Yeah. Wow. Tell me about Matchless. So what?
They've been around since like the mid '90s. and they've gone through different eras. Like the original people were running it, and then they left, and then I think early 2000, I believe, Phil Jameson, who was already an employee there, took over the company, and he kept it like true to the original specs. But then he slowly, once he was established, slowly started to make great innovations on the brand. This is called a Matchless 35, or an Independence 35. 35 watt, all tube, Class A, but this has an EL34 based power supply, or power section, which is more like a Marshall, but you can get beautiful like vintage Vox tones out of it. And this is their only 3-channel amp, so you can have a clean, you can have a rhythm with a little bit of dirt, and then you can set channel 3. You can set it with more gain for like if you want to step on to go to solo without buying a bunch of pedals. So it's an amplifier that does all. This particular model has a built-in spring reverb, which is a nice sounding reverb. It has an effects loop that is fantastic. Some effects loops just don't sound right. This works perfectly with the pedals. Now, with all effects loops, you tend to want to have your time base, like your reverbs, your chorus, your delays, through the effects loop. Leave any kind of overdrives to go straight on in. And then this has a nice feature that brings you back from the old AC30 Voxes. It's called a cut. So it just takes out like the shrill. Like if you're playing it a little bit hot, and you don't want to take the treble away, but you just want to get some of those ice picking the forehead sounds out. You can dial that in. And what this has is the master volume is defeated when it's pushed in. If you need to be real quiet, you pull it out and you can dial it down like in bedroom volume, I call it. But what's nice about this is the clean channel is just a volume and then a tone selector. Channel 2 and 3, they share the equalization, and there's a separate like a master volume for those 2 channels. So you can blend, you can dial down channel 2 and 3 to match to that, so you're not out of balance, so you're not hitting one and say, oh, it's too loud, before you even have to play around with this. And then it's the preamp sections are all 12AX7 tubes, EL34 with a GZ34, I believe, a rectifier tube.
Oh, nice. Where can people buy the Matchless?
Well, you can contact them directly, and you can look on their website, and they have a dealer list.
Okay.
And some models you buy direct from them, and Phil Jameson is a wonderful man who will take the time to talk to you, and he's the owner of the company, wears a lot of hats, but he's the one that'll direct you if you don't have a dealer in your area.
Awesome. Now, one question.
Yes.
What does it mean to you to be a guitar builder?
Sense of pride.
Sense of pride.
Yeah.
I was, when you were describing me some elements, I was thinking you're an artist. And why? Like, you hear about all these little details that will make an incremental difference.
Yep.
Like you were telling earlier, like you said, patience, because if you oversee something, that will come back later. Yep. It's an art piece. It's really like you put yourself in it, your time, your love and patience into it, which is interesting.
Getting back to patience, especially in inlay, because I don't do anything CNC. So if I'm doing inlay, if you rush it, you might go, and then make too big of a hole for the inlay piece. Then you got to fill it in with epoxy. And I try to do everything as accurately as possible.
Now, what is an inlay for folks who don't know what an
inlay is? Like your markings here. Like this is, I call that Aztec stair step, and it's like mother of pearl, abalone, and then mother of pearl. And I set it off. So it's kind of like Native American, and down in Mexico, from the Aztec, I call it. And I seen that design in some early artwork, and I said that would be interesting. So that was one of my first inlay styles that I was going to, because, yes, I can do square blocks like a Les Paul Custom. I could do dots, but I prefer to have something a little bit more distinct. And usually every year I'll come up with a different shape just for fun.
So let's talk about this bass.
Yeah, this is a 5-string, and the inlay on this, I call this my ocean bass, and I wanted to challenge myself. So I did like a mako shark, a manta ray, and some other different fish, and I traced them out on the inlay, and I hand cut each one of these and inlaid it in.
Wow.
And because I wanted to show people what I can do, because some people say, hey, do you ever do anything like non-traditional? So I can show them this, and because I have a gentleman coming to my shop sometime this summer. I sold him a guitar last year that he goes, I got some of my own ideas for inlay. I said, okay, great. Let's talk about it when you're here. If I can physically do it, we can do it, because I don't just deal with shell, abalone and pearl. I get into different stones. Like I have models with mother of pearl, I'm sorry, turquoise, a green stone that's very interesting. It's called fuchsite, that has like thin little flecks of gold in it, all kind of different things. But, so I try, like, every year, if I see something, well, that's a good innovative way of doing something, because as you go along, there's certain things that you go, there's got to be a better way. And then I seen at one point that, to eliminate the wood screws. So I went with magnets, so you don't need to get a tool out before you even see if there is a problem. And then, like on the bolt-on guitars, all the necks have threaded stainless steel inserts epoxied into the neck and stainless steel bolts.
Wow.
Because some of the early models, from the 50s and all, they're great. But if the neck screw strips out, you got a problem. Where these are stainless steel, and you can take the neck on and off, dozens of times, and you're never going to have any issues.
Beautiful neck.
Yeah, that's not Brazilian, it's Bolivian rosewood. That's
what's the biggest difference between the two?
Money. Brazilian rosewood, I've never dealt with that as far as building anything with it, but it's an endangered species. It costs a lot, and to build a whole neck, there are some people that will, but they have to charge so much money.
Is it because of the import?
Well, just because of the cost, because it's an endangered species that I don't even think you can get new Brazilian. They have to get like reclaimed. Like if a house had like or an old barn down in Brazil, if they had like timbers and stuff, they tear the building down, they'll get that wood and saw up fingerboards and stuff for it. There's a gentleman across the way over there that's selling some Brazilian fingerboard. I never even asked him what they would be. And another thing, that you get into some of the endangered stuff, then you can't sell it outside the U.S. You have to have all kind of paperwork, and there's been stories of different touring musicians that had their instruments confiscated. So why even start that headache for yourself?
Where do you draw your inspiration from when you're looking to innovate something or make something easier for the player? Or just
well, being a musician myself, I look at what's easier for me, and then I transcend that, because before I started building guitars, I was buying off the shelf manufactured guitars, and first thing I say, well, I don't like that. Yeah, you end up finding things that they should have changed maybe decades ago, but but they didn't. Like, the first guitars I was buying did not have very strong headstocks. So I went with what they call a volute on the back of the guitars, where there's a little bump out right there. And that makes that transition from a neck going like this way and tipping back much stronger right there, because they route out where the truss rod access is. Plus, I don't do nearly as steep of an angle. And my angle is back a little bit more flatter, puts less stress on the guitar. More than enough downward pressure on the nut, but sometimes too much is too much. So I do enough, but enough, and it just makes it stronger. I've never had one of my guitars, have any issues with the headstock. So
is bass your main instrument?
No, guitar. But I always dabbled in bass. And a few years ago, we couldn't find a bass player in my recording project a steady bass player. So I said, well, I'm going to just play.
Yeah.
And I built different basses, and I enjoy it. I've wrote a couple songs just starting it on the bass, and because it's a different perspective. Just like you try different styles, and you just pick up a different instrument, and it gives you thinking differently, and then you can expand off of that. And then I track the bass, and then I come up, okay, let's do a guitar to play off of that. So I enjoy playing the different instruments.
Wow. Have you ever made a fretless guitar?
No, I have not made a fretless guitar. I try to make the action low enough that it feels like it. But there's that guy, what's he called? His name is a beautiful instrument that he plays, a custom double neck. His name's Bumblefoot, I think.
Bumblefoot. I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, and he has one neck that's fretless, and it sounds so cool.
My teacher, Dave Fuzinski, Dave, if you're seeing this, miss you. He has a two-neck guitar, a short scale fretless, and it was similar. The feel was a little similar to that Jaros guitar. And I remember we were back and forth between guitars with closed IRs, just like we did earlier.
Yeah.
And he was like, doesn't matter which guitar you play, it just sounds different because we're different. We have different bones. We play different. Our techniques is
Different attack.
and things like that. Yeah, he was one of my favorite guitar teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Hughes. Let's talk about the other instruments because you have
Sure.
so many and they're so beautiful. So let's highlight some. And
You want to talk about this
yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Beautiful instrument. You put this in my hand and you showed me like so many different variations of this instrument sound that it can do.
Yeah,
So,
this is a hybrid where it has magnetic pickups and also a Graphtec Ghost system. So how the layout goes here, it looks complicated at first, but it's actually set out kind of logical, where the first knob is volume for the neck, second knob is volume for the bridge. I wanted them close for if you do any kind of volume swells, you can hit each one and still pick. Master tone control. Now, this little switch here, it toggles between the magnetic pickups and the piezo preamp. So forward, it's just these. All the way back, this is the volume for the piezo pickups to simulate acoustic guitar. And it does it pretty well. And then if you put it in the middle position, you can blend your magnetic pickups to your preamp acoustic sounds. Now the jack is a stereo jack. It will work with one amplifier, but to really develop the best sound is you use a stereo Y chord. One can go to your regular guitar amp, and the other one can go to, say, like a Fishman Artist acoustic amplifier. And then you can really blend it together. And there's so many songs that's been written through history that starts out acoustic and then it breaks in electric. So you don't have to have an acoustic off to the side or a second player just to play the acoustic parts. You can play the acoustic, drum let go, flip it into the other one and go,
Very neat.
So it gives you a lot of versatility that way. And then this is your magnetic pickup selector switch. Neck, both, bridge.
Can you split them?
Coil tapping wise?
Oh, coil tap, yeah.
Yeah, this is the coil tap for the neck. This is the coil tap for the bridge. So you have a lot of different tonal varieties. So you can have, you can virtually have like your acoustic preamp, if this is in the middle, your acoustic bridge on, single coil, or humbucker, or any combination in between.
I love this F-hole.
Yeah,
this is so signature to you.
I like the chambered sound. And then what I do on the single cut guitars is I got away with that annoying heel that when you're sliding up and you hit that roadblock. This is all smooth and it's all blended in through. And then once again, like all the guitars, that's like that. And the guitars that have the truss rod adjustment at the top, you just simply remove it with a magnet. So you don't lose that little spool.
I love how innovative you are. Because I remember when I'm trying to adjust something on another instrument, I'm like, oh shoot, where did I put that? Where did I put that? You're a very problem solver. I love that.
you know, so you can concentrate on the music, not having to be a machinist.
Mm.
And then I
love it.
use Spurzell locking tuners. I try to put as many American parts on as I can. But there's
That aspect I really like. I like how you think about how to make it comfortable, how to make it easier.
right. You don't want to have to work around anything. You know, and this is a 24 fret. Now, my set neck guitars, they're 25-inch scale with a 12-inch radius. And like all the guitars, like I said, stainless steel frets is you know, I've had a lot of nickel fret guitars, and then when they wear out, you know, and if you're somebody who's like buys a guitar and they get somebody else, you know, in a different state or country, and they, you know, work on it, if they don't get it just right, then it can affect the overall feel of the guitar. With the stainless steel, I have bands on the road touring, playing year after year after year, and still no fret wear. So that's a peace of mind aspect for them and me.
Love it.
And well, for guitars, I really like the Lindy Fralin pickups. He's a small shop, and well, I guess not that small, but smaller than, say, some of the other major manufacturers. But he pays attention to detail, and I like that aspect. And I like to work with, you know, smaller shops. And then these are the pure PAFs. Now, for bass guitar, I like Arrow pickups from Hawaii. Very good pickups. Probably the only pickups that I'd ever put in a bass guitar, unless a customer has a specific type. You know, I will do custom. I've done guitars where somebody said, "Here's a drawing. What can we do off of that?" And I'll look at it and go, "All right, proportion-wise, we need to blow it up a little bit bigger because it's just not going to work with the layout." Because some people don't, you know, they're not a guitar builder, so they don't think the scale. And if it's too small, you know, you have to think of where your placement of your hardware is. Otherwise, it's just going to be wall art and not functional, and stuff like that. So, you know, I work with them. I try to steer them for what they need, but not to damper their dream. You know,
Work on it.
Work on it. Yeah.
You know, I get what you're saying completely. You know?
Just, you know, yeah, we can do that, but if we do this, you'll get the end result that you really want. You know.
I love this shape. This really reminds me of my Jaros, but I love the thinness here, and you have a little hump over here.
Yeah, they're hand carved. I don't see anything.
Oh, tell me about this. I kept looking at the nut.
Okay, that's an Nirvana compensated nut, and I started to use them on the guitars. I also use the Graphtec Tusk nuts as well, but I've been putting a lot of these on the guitars because what's really nice, if you're doing like down your first position, like you know, like chords where you've got some strings fretted, some open, they sound all more in tune with each other without getting any of that wave warble, I call it. And it really makes a difference. I see you have a Nirvana nut on your guitar as well.
Yes, that's what I was saying. That's black and that's white.
Yeah.
Is that bone?
No, it's some kind of I don't know. It's some type of plastic. It's similar to like what a Graphtec nut is like. It could be like some kind of graphite, but it's.
What's the functionality of this?
Well, you see how the strings that come off in different.
Yes.
It's like intonation. It kind of mimics the intonation of the bridge here.
Interesting.
So it balances out and makes every string compatible. You don't have to go through any special tunings. You know, you put it on and it just works with you're setting up your intonation. I just find it just so much more makes the guitar in tune with itself. Because you tune the pitch, but this keeps it just tunes the guitar to itself. So when you're playing, okay, there's an open string there and stuff like that. It just makes everything right.
Wow, beautiful.
And I like to go with a shallow neck angle. So I've been recently, one of my newer things I've been introducing into my guitars is I recess the bridge down. because I don't like such a neck angle where this is all real high and he just feels uncomfortable. I recess that down so that is just lower.
All good. Tell me back again about that angle you were just talking about.
Okay, a lot of guitars have a steep neck angle where the neck is coming off the body and which raises everything back here. And when you're playing, if everything's up high, you get into like a strange position that can, makes my wrist sore. So lately I've been, I call it slamming the bridge. I recess it and I put it lower into the body. I actually route out a little pocket that it sits down into, and it's just more comfortable on the hand. It's just more natural. You're not feeling, like you gotta go up over top of something like say a violin that's real high off the body. I don't like that. I like it low. And but the Tone Pros locking bridges and tailpieces have been really good. I'm very, very pleased with that.
Now I have a technical question for us guitarists there who play guitar, but they don't know how to do certain technical things. What are 5 things, or what are some setup things that are easy that any guitar player needs to know?
Well, if they notice that their action's really high, first thing I do, and you don't need to go even get any tools. Use your fingers. First, on your E string, press down on the first fret, and like where the body joins the neck joins the body, press there, and then you tap, and you see where your action. You want to just slip a guitar pick, through there like a medium-sized pick. If you can stack 3 or 4 in there, you have what they call up bow. Okay, so then you got on a truss rod, and I only say to do this if you are somewhat mechanically inclined, because the golden rule is if you don't know, don't do. But see if you can adjust it righty-tighty. If you tighten it, that'll bring the neck back. If you loosen it, that'll bring the neck up. So that then for changes in the season and humidity, you can keep your neck adjusted to where it feels good.
Okay.
But never do more than a quarter turn at a time. And then sometimes you adjust it, and that's good right there. Okay, fine. Now sometimes, like the next day, the neck might keep moving a little bit, so you have to fine tune it. Most competent, like if there's a good luthier repair at your favorite music store, you can have them just do a truss rod adjustment if it needs it. But this is something that you can tell yourself, like, yeah, it's out. The furnace has been running. I always say try to leave your instruments in their guitar cases. A lot of people will hang them up right above the furnace, and it just dries them out. And then you start feeling the fret ends and stuff, because the wood will shrink back, but not the frets. So then you're going to start feeling the fret ends, So,
interesting.
So
what if they feel buzzing down here?
Well, on some guitars, this can move, but that stays there, and it can create a hump. Now, what I tend to do when I'm first putting the frets in, I get about here, and then I start to press down when I'm leveling the frets, so there's a downward slope. So as you're coming in, you won't run into like your next fret being high, because I level to here, and then I do I'm only talking a couple thousandths, but a little bit of a downward slope, where you're not going to feel like a higher action, but you're not going to run in trouble to the fret buzz in the fret in front of you. But that's all in how the neck. Now there's some people that try to they say to fret the neck under tension so the neck is bowed a little bit. I think that's giving you a false reading, because you should always start flat. Because if you're pre-guessing, and you sand it, if you sand it with the tension on it, and when you take the tension off, all of a sudden, okay, this is low, that's high, because you're doing like that, and you're trying to. I don't like that, and that's my personal opinion. It might play great, but I like to always start everything. That's why the first thing I do is check for there. But if I have a tool, it's called a notched straight edge, and it's a straight edge, precision ground straight edge. but it's got notches where it fits over top of each fret. So because your fingerboard's your footer of your house, the fingerboard has to be flat first, and then you can gauge off of what the frets are doing. If your fingerboard is was not properly leveled and it's bumpy, then it's going to throw you off. That's why I'm not, people will give me grief on this. Well, they'll give you grief because it's your show, but I'm not a fan of that Plex system.
I don't care if they give me grief.
You spend all that money, because I think like this. You mean to tell me that a company will tout that they Plex their guitars, but then they'll recommend that when you get to the dealer, you pay money to get a guitar Plecked again?
Oh.
And my whole thinking of that whole Plecking machine is because some stores don't have adequate or good enough luthiers there to set up a guitar. So this keeps them from having to have skilled labor because they got a machine. And I'm just not a fan of that Plecking. Those things cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and all. But it doesn't eat. It doesn't have to pay health insurance.
True that.
And so I'm just not a big fan of them.
What other things are there, skills that guitar players should know? If it's even...
Well, here's one that a lot of them don't know.
Okay.
If you're like a note is sharp, they'll just tune down to the pitch. And it's literally in the words, tuning up. I got to tune up. You go down below the pitch and you bring it up to pitch.
Really?
Because there's slack, these are gears, and there's a little bit of slack in the gears. So you always go down past the note and you tune up, and it's going to be a more consistent tuning.
Interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I show that to people, and they go, what? I said, yeah. Tune down past the note and bring it up to pitch.
Wow.
Because these are gears, and there's a little bit of they call it lash or a little bit of free play, because if they were really tight, you couldn't move them. So there is a little bit of lash in them, and some manufacturers have a little bit more of that, than others. But I always tune down past the note and bring up, and you're going to notice a big difference in tuning stability. And I'm a fan of locking tuners because when you put the string on and you pull it and then you lock it, all right, none of these have much more than a half a turn to pitch. Because if you do a traditional and you put like 6 windings on there, that's all that's a little micro movement, but it's you're compounding your problems, and then sometimes if the guitar, it depends on how the nut's cut. If like if you have a guitar and it's set up for 9 to 42, and all of a sudden I want to put 11 to 50s on there. Well, that nut needs adjusted, because what happens is that little notch, all of a sudden you're putting a big fat string, and what's happened? See that gap underneath? That string's going to be higher and it's going to pinch. There's going to be a lot of friction. You have to adjust, but you once you go one way, then you have to watch, because now that you have too wide of nut slots, because you went from 50 to like say a 42, so you have to have that adjusted. And then it's real easy to go too low, and then it's buzzing off the first fret. So that's a little bit critical. But a lot of people think they can just change gauges, and not so much. If you're going from 9 to 42 to 10 to 46, you could probably get away with it, because I try to file in just a few thousandths, a little bit, because you can't technically fit 9,000 through 9,000. You got to go 9,000 going through 10,000. You have to have that, because you've heard, like, when you're tuning up a guitar on a nut that's too tight, you'll go tink, 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 tink. The nut's too tight, and it's going to cause tuning problems.
Interesting.
So that's all the things, little things you learn, and you hear from other people. And sometimes the guitar luthier industry, they like to keep certain things close to their vest. But other people are more than willing to tell you what they found out in life, and that's great. Sharing the knowledge makes all the instruments better.
Wow. Okay, I'd love you to talk about the headless instrument.
Sure.
Which one do you want to talk about? They're all so beautiful, all your instruments.
Oh, hand me that one right there.
Well, earlier you were hinting something. What was that you were hinting?
That this is yours.
I could not believe it.
I've known you for decades, but never met you. You've been such a proponent for the guitars,
Yes.
and you have a production model. You never had a hand built, and I wanted you to actually have a hand built that I did with my hands in my own shop.
Wow.
So this is a headless model because there is no tuning section up here. It's all down right here. I use a hip shot bridge, okay? And there's a lot of advantages in a headless guitar. Tuning stability is one of them. If you do a lot of recording and all, and you know, some guitars you got to retune between every take. These tend to stay in tune. Another thing is if you're in a control room next to the engineer at the desk, you know, you have room to move around. Dave taught me this, that, you know, the headless, things don't get in the way, you know, so especially with basses. And that's what brought me to short scale basses. The construction is, a lot of it the same, but it's like on a level plane. I'm not tipping the neck back. And like the bass guitar that I showed earlier, you know, the neck has the epoxy threaded inserts and stainless steel screws. Now in this model, I recessed back the carve to make it like it's effortless to sliding up there. Now, I did the prototype like that, and I was a little concerned by thinning that out. So I did a prototype, I strung it up to pitch, and I let it sit in my shop for about 8 months. It was still in tune through the changes of the season. So I knew that that neck joint wasn't gonna give away and pull.
Interesting.
You know, so it's all part of the testing. And this is Wenge wood, which I really like for necks. It's very strong and stable, and I use tongue oil on these, and it just feels really, really fast. So those are all the advantages. I don't see a disadvantage, unless some people just can't get past it that there's not a tuning peg on it. There was one manufacturer overseas, I forget, it was in Spain or whatever, but he had like a detachable fake headstock where it would just like clip on there.
Interesting.
You know, it's I don't know. It's like having a peg leg, you know, changing around.
Now, for folks there wondering, how do you put a string on this instrument?
Okay, on this particular bridging setup, first I tune this down. This goes all the way down, and there's a little claw that the ball end of the string goes on, and it'll, as you go tune it down, that's moving that claw forward. And then I loosen the set screw on the other end, and I pull the string out, and I lift up the bridge, and I unhook the ball from the string. Putting the new string on, I thread the string through the bridge and hook it on. Sometimes I'll take pliers a little ahead of time and do like a little pre-bend. You'll find that out. And then I hook it on there, and I keep a little bit of tension on the string so that doesn't pop off while I'm going to this end. I thread it through that hole, snug it up, and then by simply turning this clockwise, you bring it up the pitch on a tuner until you get it, you know, in the E or whatever, or whichever string you're tuning. And you just repeat the process on through.
Wow.
That's why I use coated strings from
Coated?
DR. Coated, yeah. I use the Dragon scale strings from DR. Fantastic strings. And they don't tout this one fact. The rep told me that they were the first ones to come out with the coated strings before like the other bigger brands. They're great. I'll never switch, because especially a guitar that might be a little bit more intricate in setting up, the coated strings just will stay fresh sounding much, much, much longer. You know, so that's why I like to put coated strings on the guitars.
Is that what you put on all of your guitars?
Yes.
What is it again? Tell the folks.
DR is the brand, the Dragon scale strings.
Yeah, link in the description.
Yep.
Wow,
And,
beautiful.
Yep, and they're great. I used to use the other brands, and then I met the rep one time at my local music store. Down to earth, great guy, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to start using your strings. So then I set up like the OEM, original equipment manufacturer setup with them, and then I get like 4 or 5 dozen at a time, and they're great. And then when I'm doing repairs in my shop, because I'm also a luthier as far as I take in repairs and setups, I promote how good the strings are. And once the people try them, they're like, where can I get them? I say, go down to a local store. They sell them there too, and they're very happy with them.
Wow, awesome.
You know, I was using DR strings way back in '95, and then I tried some other things, so I come back home to them.
Sounds like I gotta get a pair of, or a set of DRs.
Yep, DR string. And if you like uncoated strings, they're pure blues is a great
Yeah,
nickel string.
I used them in Hungary.
Yep,
That's what I used on that when I was in Hungary.
Yep, they're a great string too.
Wow, wow,
A
very awesome.
a friend of mine helped with them and developed them, and
Really?
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. He plays a lot of vintage instruments and does repair. Greg Platzer is his name. Great guy, and he worked with them and told him what he would like in a string, and they developed that, and they're good. They're good. I just prefer coated because I want the longevity.
Now, is there another instrument you'd like to
The
showcase?
bass.
Yeah, let's talk about the bass. Though
Okay.
that guitar there looks beautiful.
Which one?
That one over there, the rotating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Before you bring the bass, I'd love you to talk about
Sure.
that a little bit.
This is my T model.
That headstock is really nice.
Yeah, I do some scalloping
Yeah.
in there.
That is really cool. That's very unique. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, and then these are Lindy Fralin split blades. They get a single coil sound, but they're noiseless, so you don't have to deal with any interference of humming and lights. This is a Babbage bridge, which I really like, and what's unique about them on a guitar, say like that, the height adjustment is 2 screws. Okay, this has 50 times more contact to the surface.
Whoa.
So once you get your intonation set, you lock that screw down. That locks the bridge down, and you can't accidentally bump out the intonation.
Whoa.
Now there's a cam. There's a round section there. One is a lock that locks the cam in place. The other one is a height adjustment. So as you change that screw, that cam is spinning, which is raising the string or lowering the string, and that's how that all works. And it's just really great.
Wow.
Yeah, Babbage.
Babbage.
Yeah. Now on this guitar, traditionally like T model guitars are turned around. But I like this. They're great guitar player, Bill Kurtzen from what was that? Commander Cody, the Hot Rod Lincoln. He showed me this how he prefers it on his guitars, and how he get that all those like sounds of the effects in Hot Rod Lincoln. So I put this is the volume, master volume, master tone, and a toggle switch back here, because I'm not really switching pickups a lot, but I am playing with the volume a lot. I tend to run when I'm playing guitar. I tend to run it around 7 or 8 to give me that extra gas for when I go into a solo. And once again, I did the recess on there because I knew it was a proven fact at that point. And
cool.
I did a belly carpet, and once again, it's Wenge. Wenge is a great wood for necks. It's just so stable.
I love this. This looks so beautiful.
Yeah, this is black limba. And then since I do all my routing, and then because I don't like the pick guards and stuff, I do all my routing, and then I put a book match top of black limbo on, or curly maple or whatever, so like you don't see a route from here to there and stuff like that. And then another thing that I like to do on T models, this is normally rounded where the jack plate goes. I like that a little bit flat right there. For one thing, you can feel right where you got to go, because you're up on a flat, you know where the jack is. And once again, all the guitars have the Luminlay glow-in-the-dark side dots, which is really helpful on a dark stage at night.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So basically what you do is you have a little LED flashlight, and before you go on, I mean, it doesn't have to be even seconds before you go on, but you just charge them up a little bit, and then usually once you get going, the stage lights will kind of keep them going a little while, and then before you go on the next set, just hit them again a little bit, because there's been times where like I had to start a song and I had to hit a G chord, get onto that dark stage, I hit G, G
Happened
sharp.
to all of us.
Yeah, but if you can see where you're at, you can start a song in the dark, and that's beautiful.
Wow.
Because some manufacturers do LED, but I didn't want the possibility of it fail, and then you got to take the fingerboard apart to repair. So I'll go back to a little bit to old school, but not all the way back. You know, and just do the illuminating.
That's very neat.
There's nothing to break on them. You know. So this
Beautiful
particular one is a
instrument.
24 fret. I do 22 and 24 fret, and it's a spoke wheel. The truss rod is the adjustments down there.
Same lefty loosey, righty tighty.
Yep.
Earlier you were talking about the truss rod. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yes. And with all my set neck guitars, I do a deep set neck tenon, where it goes like 3/4 of the way through the body, and that has an advantage of more sustain and strength. Plus, it's not breaking the guitar in half. So 2 advantages there. The whole guitar rings as one. Plus, you don't see say if it's out of wenge or rosewood, you don't see a different color wood blocking right there. Now, with the truss rod, I do a 2-way truss rod, and one of the biggest tone innovations that I've come across, not that I didn't invent it, but I'll take advantage of somebody's building a better wheel, is titanium resonance bars. What they do is, I did a prototype and I put them in there to help stiffen the neck a little bit, but what it does mainly is that it really increases the resonance of the guitar and makes the notes jump off, eliminates any chance of dead spots in the neck. And it's more money, but it's a better result, and that's how I look at it. What makes the instrument better? I tried a couple with carbon graphite. I didn't see any tonal advantages. I only seen a structural advantage. So I wanted to go one better, so that's why I always put the titanium in. I did it on one, and I never looked back.
Wow, so all of these instruments has this
Titanium,
particular...
yep. 2-way truss rod and the
Wow.
titanium. And it's a winning combination.
Wow, wonderful.
And like you were playing earlier, you was hitting all them harmonics and all, and that's what really helps the notes jump off the fingerboard.
Which bass did you want to talk about? Well, I'm pointing that way, to wee bass.
Yep. This is 30-inch short
Can
scale.
I hold it?
Yes, you can.
I'm curious.
And they have the titaniums in it as well.
Love it. I love the short scaleness.
Yep.
That's really cool. So tell me about the bass.
Okay. On here, I wanted to keep the controls. That's another innovation that Dave helped me with. We weren't the first, but keep the front simple. You don't clutter it up with 18 million switches. So this is a stacked volume. The lower ring is the volume for the neck pickup. The top knob is for the volume for the bridge, and then a master tone. These are passive pickups from a company called Arrow in Hilo, Hawaii. And they'll custom make the pole spacings, like wherever the strings go, and I'll tell him the measurements, and then he'll put the strings, the magnetic pole pieces perfectly. Now this is a hip shot, once again, hip shot like the headless, hip shot bridge, and hip shot, I think they're calling their featherlight, lightweight tuners. Very smooth, and I just really like the design of them.
Wow. The tuners that you chose are very beautiful. I love how the color kind of pops with the color of the neck.
I like using satin tuners because that's what you're touching all the time, and all the fingerprints and stuff. If somebody really wants gold, I'll put it on, but I'll try to talk them out of it because the gold plating on hardware just does not last. But that is, let's see, that's a rosewood fingerboard, I believe, on that one. Let me tip it down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the lighting is, I believe that's rosewood on that with the Wenge.
You don't have a bass amp, do you? Or can you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, mamma mia, let's plug that bass amp in. I can't leave without playing a bass here.
Okay, let's see. Short scale bass before?
I do. I have one at home.
Yeah, it's 30-inch.
Great sounding bass. Dang. Wow. Clear. Speechless.
Well, if you're going to build a bass, it better sound good.
Wow, wow. When did you build this?
A year or so ago.
Wow.
That's
Dang.
quilted maple top with white limba back.
Quilted.
Yeah.
I love the quilted maple choice of the top. Yeah, that's two different woods, right?
Right.
You have the top quilted, and what is the bottom?
White limba.
White limba?
Yeah, Gibson calls it Corina.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and but the actual wood is limba.
Hmm.
And I used to build all the guitars out of mahogany, and I went with limba years ago, and I never looked back. I mean, if somebody wants custom built, yeah, I'll build out of mahogany, but I prefer the sound, the tone of limba wood. So,
What is the favorite quality of your guitars and your basses?
in the basses,
Guitars and basses.
clarity in the notes. That's where like the stainless steel frets, the titanium resonance bars, all brings out the clarity.
Mm. Yeah, this is very clear. I love the clarity.
Solid connections on either end.
Is this neck?
No, it bolts on.
Oh, bolts on. Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
the neck stops right there.
Gotcha, gotcha. I was just remembering that because that goes in.
Right, that's for the glue in the set neck.
Gotcha,
That's
gotcha.
you know, bolt on. And you know, if it's a good pocket, tight pocket, and with the stainless steel threaded, you know, you can get it tighter, way tighter than a wood screw, and it's a good solid connection. It's a slightly different sounding connection, but not in a negative way.
Where can people find you? How do people reach you, and what's the process of ordering an instrument custom for them?
Well, you can go to Jaros at Comcast, COMCAST.net, or my phone number 724-312-4369.
Or you can let me know and I can relay every information.
Yeah. I'm just slightly north of Pittsburgh, PA.
How do people pronounce your name?
Jaros.
Jaros?
But in my grandparents' native country, which is Czechoslovakia, it was Jaros.
Jaros.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say Jaros, but Jaros.
Close. Yeah.
Jaros.
It could be like the next county over. They can say it like that, you know. But it's the hard J. Like
Awesome.
in Pittsburgh, we had a famous hockey player, Jaromir Jagr, but he had J's in the front, you know. But the Jaromir Jagr instead of Jaromir Jagr, you know. But
awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing it.
Thank you.
I appreciate you very much. You know, this day, this moment meant an incredible to me.
There you go.
Know, not only meeting you, but this instrument I'm going to be playing.
Gotta carry on the next 30 years.
Heck out of it, you know. Hopefully more, you know. I don't want to leave after 30 more years.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
I hope I have 30 myself.
But you guys will be seeing a lot of me playing this, talking about these things. And see you guys in the next video. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll do a couple of videos of me playing, and then that's it.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll step out of the camera. So.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, or you think we shared anything that we can right now?
There's one other innovation if you want to.
Oh, heck yeah, yeah. Let's not, yeah.
Yeah. This
Now, one thing we had completely forgotten about. So, Jim, for folks out there, what is that new innovation you were
Well,
talking about?
back in the day, I used to play V's all the time, a V-shaped guitar, okay? And thank you. And the wire here, you know, would always tend to pull or break. I never liked the wire input wire here because I would always play it a la Michael Schenker style, okay? So I decided to put the jack back here, okay?
Makes sense.
So basically, if you have your strap on, you just loop it through, plug it in. You can play it anywhere here. It's not in your way here, so it just works out really well when you're playing a V. But that's the one thing that I really like to do, because anywhere in here, you have the potential of bending the jack and breaking the wire. But this is just naturally flowing out, hooking on the guitar strap and going out. This is basically like my other set, single cutaways, where it's volume for the neck, volume for the bridge, master tone, toggle. It's all just straight in a line. You're just working your way down the guitar. This is turquoise block inlay on this particular guitar. And I took the knobs that would normally have abalone or pearl in the centers, popped them out, and the same inlay material, I made the matching center caps out of it. So they're turquoise, the same material that I did the inlay to just color match the guitar. And that's about it. This is a koa wood from Hawaii with a black limba back. And for balance, I use a white limba, because white limba is lighter than black limba. So balance on the neck, because sometimes like a V-shaped guitar, this is called my Arrow 1. So like an arrow-shaped guitar sometimes can be neck heavy. So this counteracts any of that because I'm using a lighter wood for the neck.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So that's all with this thing with the jack in the back.
I think that was a great idea. Put it over there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So you have the Taylor style instrument.
I'm coming out with an S style.
An S style?
S style strat.
Cool.
Yeah, S style this summer. When I get back home, I'm going to order some wood. Now those guitars are going to have roasted bird's eye maple necks. So I don't know if you ever heard of roasted woods.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, they call it also torrefied, where they put it in a kiln at a specific heat, or they sometimes use steam, and it actually caramelizes the wood, and it any of the resins that's in the wood, it crystallizes it, makes it a very stable neck, makes it a nice warm color all the way through. And I found a company up in Canada that has a beautiful bird's eye, and so I'm going to do some bird's eye necks. It'll be all tongue oiled. And then I'm not sure on the bodies just yet. I'm probably going to lean towards limba, but different tops. I have some curly ash that I've been saving. I have some really nice curly maple that I'm going to be probably using. I haven't settled on the pickups, but I'm going to see what some different manufacturers that Lindy Fralin might have. He does, along with a T model, he does an S model 3 pickup set, you know, in the split blades. So I'm going to look into them. There's a couple new tremolo companies that I've seen that I really like, that they're being innovative, where they it's not a whole plate where the whole plate lifts up. The front plate screws down, and it's actually a little thin plate of spring steel that is actually the flex point. And people say that they're very stable.
Interesting.
And they have like this one innovation in the back. It's called a maglock, where some kind of magnetic thing where it brings the guitar right back to pitch because the magnets line up and holds it in place. So I got some innovations coming with that new model this year.
Now, question: have you thought about putting a MIDI pickup in an instrument?
No, I leave that up to somebody further on down the line.
I had one in that, as I showed you.
Yeah. Now, I tell you what, though, the GraphTech Go system has a MIDI option.
Interesting.
You could use that same pickups, and it's just another circuit card that snaps into the circuit.
Really?
And then you just put you put the MIDI output on the side of the board. That's over here.
That instrument. So technically, that
could be MIDI.
Really?
Yeah, you'd have to plan ahead of time, because as you'll see, this is pretty crowded.
Wow.
But there's a circuit card, you know, the preamp, for the Graphtec Go system. It's just another little preamp thing that comes out that snaps into the edge connector. Like these are all edge connectors.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in there that's also for the MIDI out, and then you have to have the MIDI jack routed and put in.
Oh, interesting.
So it'd be better to know ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know.
Interesting. So the same technology with an added chip, you can add a MIDI, and then you basically have a hybrid instrument or like a MIDI controller.
Yeah,
there.
and to the front it would look normal.
Yeah, interesting. And what issue I had was I played so much, and I put my hand here to a point where I broke the MIDI pickup, and because it was broke, I'm like, I guess I can't use it now. I had to take it out, but I used it a lot to get what's the name of this guitarist with the long hair? He was studying with Pat Metheny. He's a MIDI guy, and what's his name? Lee Ritnar. He had a big MIDI.
Everybody was using the Roland.
Yeah, the Roland.
There was only so many options.
Yeah, Roland.
But with this, with the Graphtec, with the Ghost preamp, that world, nothing is in your way.
Interesting.
There's no like little plastic thing to break, So
That's
yes,
neat.
there is an option.
Awesome.
And I didn't have to think about it. It's already there.
That is a neat idea.
Yep.
Awesome. So if you have any guitar needs, or when you see yourself in the need of a guitar, look no further than Jaros. Jaros.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah. And all the links or anything, send it to me.
Yep.
Anything that you want me to share in the description.
Yeah.
I'll put it in there.
Yeah. I'll also give you because I think this is like pamphlet of the matchless in material. That's the amp that I have. And then I put my email on there.
Okay.
As well.
Awesome. Okay.
You can maybe do a close up of that and show.
Yeah. I'm gonna take some close-up shots. You were showing the 52 point. Is it 52 point? A 52 point attachment to the instrument. You said something about that instrument. Yeah, the saddle, that it has 52.
Oh, the Babbage.
Yeah, Babbage.
Yeah, 50% more
Yeah,
contact.
Oh, 50% more contact. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you now. Okay, yeah.
Like, see this? It's a great bridge, but it has two little height adjustments. So you times that by, like 50% more, it's like, just more contact.
Interesting.
Now, they make a Babbage bridge as well, but I just went with hip shot to hip shot. Just
Babbage.
Yeah.
Sounds like Babbage.
Yeah. That guy, he worked with Steinberger.
Really?
Yeah, he worked. Yeah, and they have a company called Headless USA, and that's where I bought the gig bag because that guitar fit in there. Because there's not a whole bunch of options for headless. That's a good sounding bass. I mean, they all three of them sounded, this pretty similar, but they're. And that's just a little. It's a 500 watt Hartke combo with 210s and a tweeter, and all the tone controls are set at noon. So it's not like there's no like fancy like Sam amp thing or preamp, just coloring it. It's hidden behind the curtain like.
Dude, this bass is so good.
Now we're going to be doing possibly a version 2, where I'm going to do a deeper cutaway here, because I had one gentleman, now see what I do is I just gravitate to go over top,
Oh, like this, like double bass players.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
But I'm gonna come in a little bit deeper here, just a little bit deeper to get the hand in. And
I'm looking at that instrument that you did, like this shaving. That.
Yeah.
Like I could see something like that mixed with like a deeper cutaway.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing around. I'm probably gonna take this apart and do it. I'll just dive in, It'll either work really good or horribly wrong.
Well, you gotta try it. If you don't, you'll never know.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I had an interesting question, but I forgot the word in English. What was the most challenging thing you had to overcome as a guitar builder?
Painting is the hardest.
Painting?
You have to have a paint job, and I'm still struggling. All these years to come out with a professional-looking paint job, because that'll set a lot of builders apart. Is the quality of the paint job.
Interesting. How did you meet Tony?
Well, when David Weiler was, got the licensing agreement off of me, a lot of people were saying like Ed Roman bought the company. No,
Oh,
it was a licensing agreement.
interesting.
Just like Schaller has a license to reproduce Floyd Rose tremolos.
Oh,
They don't own Floyd Rose. They pay Floyd Rose a royalty to reproduce them.
Interesting.
So that's what he was. And then that's what David Weiler was, because Ed had too many irons in the fire, and he had so many different brands, and David Weiler expressed interest in, taking the company on. Didn't work out well because he didn't want to promote, other than like a fancy website. He didn't want to do guitar shows. And you have to get them in their hands, because you can read it and go, yeah, okay, it's another guitar. Or you can hit it in your hand and go, oh, okay,
It's
I
like
see the
just
difference.
driving a car.
Yeah. So
Where did Tony come in?
Huh?
Where did Tony come
Well,
in?
Tony, I guess he knew Tony in some way, because Tony was, I think at one point Tony was high up in the repair department or custom shop of Gibson. But he would do repair and stuff like that. So I'm not sure how those two met, but then he wanted to bring Tony on board to do the assembly. They would CNC have the guitars built. A company out in California would CNC build the guitar body and neck, and assemble it, and then they would ship it back to David or Ed it was the same company, and then finish sand it, spray it, and then do the assembly. So that's where Tony came in.
So what's the little history of that instrument?
I don't know, other than like it was one of the production models that David Weiler that was one of his era that he was doing the production. See, my serial numbers went from 0 to 1,000, and then from 1001 to 2000.
That's 2017.
Yeah.
That's the serial number of that.
What is it?
2017.
Right. That so I'm all before that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then now how I date them is the year, and then 001, 002. So if it's 2023, 001, that's the first one I built that year.
Interesting.
It just sounds simpler than a long convoluted number. So you could have a 2024 001. They're both like number one, but they're number one of that year versus number one of the other year. So I built 6 instruments last year, so there's 1 through 6.
Wow.
Awesome. So that's how I do it.
All right.
Yeah, and like these ones here, there was, no place to put it, so that's why that's a tight fit.
Yeah, show it to them.
Yeah.
Like you all seen earlier, instead of screws, it's magnet based.
Magnet based, but I wrote the serial number in there.
How do you open it?
Well, there's a step down point, so it's like a hinge point.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's real humid down here in Nashville, and it made the cover a little bit tight. So we probably what I would do, being like a woodworker, I would sand that to give a little bit of leeway, because it's a little bit tight down in there. So, but it'll open, but it's just snug compared to others, And off camera, I'll do a little bit of fine sanding on it.
Okay.
I think I got some sandpaper with me, and so we'll fix that up a little bit.
Awesome.
Just because it's just really, I forgot how humid Nashville can be.
It can be pretty humid, yeah.
Yep.
It's hot for a while.
Yeah.
It's cools down probably end of December.
Yep.
End of December, and then cools down January, February, and slowly. Now it's end of March. It's heating up.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I used to do the summer NAMs down here in July, and it was like a jungle.
You go to the other NAM in January?
I have not gone to NAM since 2004 was my last one here, because I stopped dealing with dealers. So what was the use? There's some people that that don't do dealers and one-on-one, but I can't see spending $10,000, and if I'm not there hunting for new dealers, You know, so I'd rather put that money into building and going to shows like this where I can get them in people's hands.
The one-on-one connection, like
The
you said.
one-on-one connection.
I feel a lot of art industry is one-on-one connection.
It's the best.
Music, art, whatever in the creative industry, and I call this obviously a creative industry.
Right.
You know,
This show has really grown. There was 90 more dealers this year.
Wow. I've been here first, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and I met an old teacher of mine, Mel Deal. I learned a lot of jazz from him. And you know who also taught me guitar? John Cook.
Oh, yeah.
Another Jaros user.
Yep.
Great guy. I got to have him on the show. But
Yeah, he had a nasty health spell
yeah,
a little bit ago, but I think he's on the mend now.
he's on the mend. Yeah. Much love. Yeah.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never had the opportunity to meet him in person. I want to do that's on my bucket list, like you were on my bucket list.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
How often do you come to this show?
this is my first bit
Really?
of the Three Amigos show.
I'm so glad you came.
I'm gonna make it my best effort to be here
Yeah.
next year, right
I
here at
think
the
you've
same
seen me.
spot. We're at the same spot.
Hey, that's
My
awesome.
next show will probably be the Fall Philly
Mhm.
in Valley Forge, PA, done by B3 Vintage Guitars.
Mhm.
I don't do a lot of shows because I'm busy during the year, doing repair work for people and building, and just life in general.
Oh yeah, I
You
get
know,
it.
I'm not a slave to it. I want to build enough that I can, keep doing what I love and talk to people
Mhm.
and finance some motorcycle rides across the country on my Harley.
You're a big motorcyclist, huh? No kidding.
Yep.
I interviewed a rider, motorcyclist in my podcast, and we did some drone shots of him riding the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fun.
In 2023, when I retired from my daylight job, I bought I had a 22 Harley Davidson Road Glide
Nice.
Special, and I took a solo ride from Pittsburgh out to Colorado.
Wow.
I have relatives out there, and we
Mm.
rode down south from Denver, and we went up Pikes Peak, and
Bike speak.
oh, it's scary, but it's fun.
Wow.
And so yeah, I rode all around, and I like to do that, ride around the country. I go back east sometimes to Delaware to see some friends that I used to work with, and I didn't work with them I called them and worked with them on a daily basis, but they were like the Philadelphia sales office. They got moved to Delaware, so I'd ride back, and say hi to them, and I just enjoy riding.
Let me ask you this: what brings you the most amount of happiness in life?
Well, home life with my wife and my children, and then
How many children
building.
do you have?
I have two.
2.
Yeah,
Boy, girl.
both boys.
Both boys. What are their names?
Jason and Taylor.
Wow. Do
Yeah.
they play?
No,
Mm.
no, and but we have like 6 acres out in the country.
Mm.
And I really enjoy every day I get up and I go to work in my shop.
Nice.
I'm usually I'm like one of the go-to repair guys, in my area. So I'm like doing refrets and setups and stuff like that, and keeping everybody around where in the Beaver County where I live in Pittsburgh, keeping their instruments going. Sometimes doing triage repair when somebody didn't quite do a repair quite right, and I got to do damage control.
If you're looking to invest into a carefully crafted guitar, don't hesitate to reach out to Jim Jaros at j.jaros, that's Jaros, at comcast.net, or call 724-312-4369. I can tell you I have been using one for more than 17 years, and I am grateful that I have been given another one that I will be using for a long time. So reach out to Jim Jaros and get your electric guitar or bass today. Cheers.